Okay, so I've separated the skirt from the dress. So now it becomes a two-piece. And then with the skirt, you see, when it was a dress, I had already taken in the seams to actually tapered the dress in already, but it wasn't enough. Now that I've separated it from the dress into the skirt, I've now taken the seam in even more, all the way down. So now that actually already fits so much better just by me trying it on. And then I will put a normal zip in the center back of the skirt, but the top I'm going to add the open hem zip to the front. I'll just shorten it so I can wear it like a little sleeveless gilet kind of thing over little, like one of my sequence tops that I've got in my wardrobe already. It's all about creating a ready to wear wardrobe and making your wardrobe versatile with the rest of the garments that you have existing in your wardrobe. This is now obviously what you portray to your customers, to say to them, make the garments, change the garments, refashion them into garments that are more versatile, that you can actually mix and match with the rest of your wardrobe, creating new styles and looks, bringing your garments back to life. With the bodice of the dress, I've now separated it from the skirt section. Now it's a two-piece. What I've decided is to actually close the center back seam, stitch it closed, and then to open the front and put an open end zip in the front so that I can actually wear this open and wear a little cami underneath it. So what I will do is you're going to basically fold the bodice in the half, meet your side seams together and the underarm together, and then the shoulder, the front shoulders together. And you're going to actually fold this in half, and you'll cut that up, and you can place your zip in. That's what I'm going to do with the front. Right, so I've now basically have aligned the two side seams together, the underarm point, the front shoulder points, the front center front, and then of course here is the middle of the garment. So now I'm just going to go ahead and just cut this. Just going to cut it open. Okay, now that I've cut the center front open, I've still kept the facing there. So now I need to first overlock. So you need to overlock your center front seams, and of course the hemline of the bodice waistline of the actual bodice that you've now separated from the dress. And then I'm going to join my two center back seams together. That's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to close that so that now it becomes like just one piece instead of like, you know, two separate pieces now. So I'm going to join that. Okay, stitch that down, and then I'm going to overlock everything and prepare it, and then stitch the zip in and shorten the zip. I'm going to basically first do the 1 centimeter hem at the bottom, put the zip in up until where the center front neckline is, and then obviously shorten the zip and then stitch it in with the facing, which I will show you. Alright, so here's the center front. I've now placed the zip basically 1/2 centimeter away from the edging. I'm using my overlocking as a guideline. There is the facing. So I'm going to stitch up until where the neckline ends, where the facing is attached, the neckline. And I'm leaving about a 2 centimeter hem at the bottom, which I will just flip over and stitch that down. So I'll do that on both of the fronts of the zips. Okay, so the skirt has now been detached from the bodice of the dress. Now it's a two-piece. So when I tried it on, I found that the back, the center back, it was too, it was too big around the sort of like the bum area. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the seam in, because when I look at the seam here, the center back seam was only like about a 1.5 centimeter seam, actually even less, about 1 centimeter. So it looks like there was too much material in the center back seam. So I'm basically going to, taper it down from 2 centimeters going down back into this center back seam, just so that it can fit my body a lot better. Then I also found when I tried it on, I'll show you the pins, on the side seams, this dress was too big for me. And that's why I decided to make it into a two-piece so I can actually wear it, because it's such a beautiful print. And I've had this dress for, about, I don't know, 3-4 years in my wardrobe, and I've maybe worn it, I don't know, 2-3 times. So it was going to end up being given away, and I just thought it's just stunning print. I do want to keep it and make my wardrobe more sustainable. So what I'll do now is I'm going to basically, take it in a centimeter down on the sides, and then with this A-line of the skirt, just taper it in a bit because it's a little bit too wide. I actually think that this dress was one size too big for me when I bought it, but I just loved the print and I thought I could take it in. But I never wore it because of the centre back being a dress. I found that with my suede back, it kept on sort of, having too much material in the back here and creating like a pleat, and then it would drop around my bum area, and it made me look like I had a sagging buttocks. That's because I needed to have the centre back, well, the actual centre back where the waistline is, I should have that tapered to make it fit perfectly into my body shape. So I thought I might as well just take the whole dress apart and turn it into a two-piece. So I'm going to take it in on the sides and actually taper in the A-line. So I've opened up the seams at the bottom here. So if I take the pins out, I'm basically going to go in 1 centimeter all the way down, and then when it comes to the A-line here at the bottom, I'm going to go a bit wider, about 2 centimeters all the way down. You can see the markings. In the back, I press the center back seam open. Alright, so with the front, the center front, you're just basically going to be sewing as close as possible to the actual zip teeth. I'm going to be sewing about, say, about a 1/2 centimeter away from the edge. To finish off the waist hemline, I'm going to use bias binding. Now this is about a 2.5 centimeter width bias binding. That's the outside. Here is the inside of the bias binding. So I find this is a much neater finishing off, especially if you do alterations for a client. We've now separated a dress into a bodice and into the skirt, which had no previous waistband. You could just turn the seam over and do a 1 centimeter, hem all the way around. I prefer to do the bias binding. So what you'll do is you'll go to where the end of the zip is. You'll fold it over. Normally I will give about a centimeter or so. Fold it back behind the zip. And then where the fold line is, you basically need to do your stitching in that line. So I'm basically going to now be stitching in this fold line all the way right around the actual waistband. So it'll look like that. Stitch all the way right around to the other side of the zip, and also do a little fold back like I did at the beginning of the zip. Right, now I've stitched it right around, and here is the fold of the bias binding coming over. Now you can fold it in half, turn it around, and stitch along the edge all the way right around the waist. So when you look at the right side of the skirt, it will look like this. Or if you wanted to, you could actually just fold it in half and then stitch on your previous stitching line as a guideline. That means that you'll have a little black border sticking out on the top of your waistline. So you decide which technique you like the best. I'm just going to fold it over and stitch it down so you don't see any black seams sticking out. So I've just folded that. The front is all nice and neat. You can see it's already a fold it in half, fold it over, and then stitch all the way right around. Alright, so you can see there's edge to edge where the zip is. I folded it over. It's all nice and neat finishing off. And then there's the bias binding being stitched around on the inside of the skirt. And that's what the outside looks like. So it looks actually very neat and professional. And it just took you a couple of minutes to do it. And it's very inexpensive to use bias binding. So bias binding is definitely something you can keep in stock. It's a stock standard of your haberdashery in your cupboard. You know, like your standard colors, you know, black, white, cream, and navy.